Soda only $67. 2 large, 2 topping pizzas, and a 2-liter soda only $73. Oh, and the big one, baby. Free large pizza every Tuesday with your favorite 2 for Tuesday special. So come on down or call and order now and experience our tasty oven-baked goodness. Domino's, the home of satisfaction.
Wow, call Domino's.
Tune in for Policing with You, a half-hour radio program every Thursday morning at 9:15 on ZIZ Radio. Join host Inspector James Francis of the Criminal Investigations Department as he focuses on crime, factors contributing to criminal activity, crime prevention, and how the community can assist the police in reducing crime. It's Policing with You every Thursday morning at 9:15 on ZIZ Radio. Join us.
And the time in the studios of ZIZ Radio, just about 18 minutes down after the hour of 9 o'clock. We now bring you another session of Policing with You. I want to welcome the persons here in the studios of ZIZ Radio. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, good morning.
And how are you today, guys? All is well?
Of course, well as they can be, given the circumstances.
It can be. Looking good so far. I'll let you conduct your session.
Thank you very much, Ronnie.
Okay.
Good morning again, and good morning to all listeners out there in Radio Land and in the diaspora, and those listening via the internet and viewing via the internet as well. This is another edition of Policing with You, and I am your host, Sergeant Trevor Richards. With me in the studio this morning, I have what I like to call a star-studded cast. In the executive members of the Retired Police and Fire Officers Association. I'll allow them to introduce themselves. Starting with the senior man first.
Good morning to everyone in the hearing of my voice. My name is Joseph Richardson. I'm a retired police officer, having served in the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force for over 33 years, having enlisted in the force on the 1st of June 1979 and retired in June 2012.
A very pleasant good morning, everybody. My name is Natalie Foe. I am the secretary for the organization, and I am a retired police/fire officer. I joined as a police officer on the 7th of November 1977, and I retired as a fire officer in November of 2006.
So you had the best of both worlds.
Oh, best of both worlds.
Well, a very pleasant good morning to you. Leroy Benjamin by name, better known as Pastor Benjamin, those of you who would pick me out at that, because a lot of people don't know that my name is Leroy Benjamin. I listened to the first presenter a while ago, Mr. Richardson, but he didn't give you the rank which he left out the police force. But he left as Assistant Commissioner of Police, quite a position he held in high regard. I happen to have been the first chaplain of the police force, came in there at 1996 and leave at 2016. So I had about 20 years, so I am the least of the apostles. But so far, I have enjoyed myself, and the police force for me has been a very marvelous place. And it's part of my DNA. So I'm glad to be here this morning. So I just changed from the chaplain. I retired from the police force, and in the association, I still hold that position as well.
And thank you very much. And I was about to mention that the ACP retired as one of the 4 commissioners, but he's a modest guy, so he likes to leave those things out of it. Very humble.
Sorry, may I apologize for the president's absence?
Yes.
He got fired.
All right. Apology accepted.
And probably I didn't say that I am the treasurer of the association as well.
So you're still a part of the executive anyway you slice it?
Anyway I go.
All right, thank you very much. So for those of our listeners who aren't really aware of the organization and its existence and what the organization does, could you give us a brief history of the organization and, you know, take us a bit into exactly what the organization does and what brought about the formation of this organization?
Okay, I think that I will tackle that part, and perhaps the other folks will join in and give you something about it. The organization came into being in a very unusual way. I happened to have been the chaplain of the police force then, and it gave me the opportunity of getting to know when people were sick, when they're out of the force and so on, and as a result of visiting them and getting to know them, especially when they were out of the force, sometimes I would meet them. I say, how are you doing, and so forth and so on. I may not have even known that they have left the force. And they would say, man, I was sick, I was in the hospital, and I just came out the other day, and so I said, boy, this is something that needs to be corrected, because if you're in an organization, you spend 20, 30, your lifetime, and after you get out, nobody remember you. This needs to be corrected. At the time, Walwyn was the commissioner of police. So I went to him with the idea, said, Chief, there is something here that really needs to be fixed, and I am thinking the answer to that might be an association of the retired people. So I told him what I had experienced, and he was quick on it. He certainly gave me the support and said that is a rather good idea. And so he asked me how I'm going to get it off the ground. So I told him, well, what I plan to do is to get in touch with the senior officers who are part of the force, get them together, and get the idea to see if I could get it settled. And I asked him, if that were to happen, will he come and give the force the opening remarks? So he told me yes, and so I got writing to the senior officer. I didn't write to everybody who was a police officer, because I thought if I contact this senior officer, they did administration.
There will be a ripple effect.
Yes. And so I wrote to them, and strange enough, they responded, most of them. And they came, and we had a meeting at the police training school. I think it must have been in April of 2014.
Yes.
April of 2014. And so I even invited a gentleman by the name, a journalist by the name of Peter Ngunji, because I thought that was a historical event, and it should be documented.
Correct.
So he came and he took the information, and I listened to the folks and as they talked, and everybody gave the assent to it. And so at the end of the meeting, I asked them the question, are you ready now that we move into this and form? And it was a resounding yes. So there is where the starting came from. Really, it was out of the situation. I said, listen, people should not only walk and when they're finished, and especially a work like the police. My thing is, when you work 20 years in the police force, I call that 20. I don't call it 20, I call it 40. It's a very unusual job, and I feel like people should be taken care of. And there's where it really came from. So after that, I organized a meeting whereby we can have the various officers. And so that came about as well. We had some time of elapsing there, but we wouldn't go into that now. But 3 years ago, we got back to it again. I had to go back to it again. And as a result of that, that is what has brought us here to this point in time. And we are the members of the part of the executive. So it's out of that feeling of empathy. I said, no man, police shouldn't be left alone. You're sick, you gave all your years and the time and nobody look after you. So this organization is really an organization to look after those who have served. So I give the others a chance.
Anything to add?
Just for the record, I would just say that it's 2018 when we finalized our constitution and everything came into being, where membership, the various forms of membership were established, etc. And this is where we had the real kickoff of the association, so to speak.
We had our constitution done, and just our vision is to participate in activities designed to stimulate the mental and the physical well-being of members. So we need to look back at who we have, and out of that, our executive right now is the president is former Commissioner Austin Williams, Vice President McLean Hobson, the treasurer, as was mentioned, is the Richardson. I'm secretary, the chaplain, and we have 2 other members, which is Mr. Ivor Blake and Mr. Vaughn Henderson.
Farmer superintendent and farmer assistant commissioner,
Yes.
respectively.
But it doesn't mean that you have to be at that rank to hold these positions.
Of course not.
But this was just the kickoff, and those are the persons who are there and decide to take that position.
Okay. So I understand that you're celebrating 3 years, and as a result of that celebration, you now have a week of activities. Could you tell us more about that?
All right. The week of activities, we say it will start on Saturday with a health walk, and we start from the training school, and we'll take us to where we need to stop.
So that's this
Saturday, the 27th. On Sunday, we go to Nevis, and we have a church service in Nevis. And after that, we'll have a luncheon, and the service will be at the St. Paul's Anglican Church. Then we have 2 persons up there, who is Mr. Stapleton. He was what rank again? Superintendent, and Mr. Dyer. Okay, Mr. Dyer was our inspector. I left at that rank as well. And on the Monday, we're doing a membership drive. We'll be focusing in the area of the Police Credit Union, where we have past members, and we're trying to see if we can attract them to come in to it. So on Monday, we'll be doing that during the working hours of the credit union. On Wednesday, we go to our shut-ins. For right now, we use the word shut-ins, but some of them are laid aside. And so on Wednesday, we go to visit them. And we have them, it's all around the island, and we're going to be splitting up in different places. On Friday, we're having a social event at the Newtown Community Center, where we get all the retired persons that come back in as much as possible. Come back in, it's a free event. You come in and you play games, you know, just to socialize. Some people haven't seen others for a very long time. And on the Sunday, we're going to finalize it with a church service in St. Kitts, and we're going to the Antioch Baptist Church. Okay, so that's our week. So we begin with service in Nevis, because Nevis, we have other retirees up there who is, you know, we need them to get them in, and we also have a service in St. Kitts.
I just want to add, some person might have heard the secretary said that we will be visiting shut-ins on Wednesday, and I just don't want people to think it's because we are celebrating our third anniversary that we're doing that. We have been doing that since our inception.
Yes.
We have been going out, visiting our shut-ins or persons who are bedridden and so forth, and giving them gift baskets and those sort of things to make them feel as part of the association. So I just want to add that.
And since our visit, we have 2 of them had deceased. So.
And may I add to that, not only that, but we have added something very recently. We try to remember them on their birthday. So we reach out to them, and
indeed,
and because we want to make them know that at least you're not forgotten. After you're given those years of service, man, in the sun, rain and dew, and after all you just left there. So what is happening now? We really want to speed up things. The pandemic slowed us down terribly. For last year we had a lot of plans and so on, but you know, as the thing was, we couldn't get out and do all that. So we're really lining up this for the coming year, because we got to learn to live with this something. We can't just sit down and say, hey, we have the pandemic, and no, we really ought to launch into what we plan doing. And one of the big things about that too, we want to have a greater presence in Nevis. We don't want this to look like a St. Kitts thing. Earlier in the year we had a meeting over there for the first time. Well, we also, this is going to be part of the ongoing thing. We will be planning, so we have some meetings in Nevis as well, and driving the membership in Nevis. So we want a cohesive group now, so that this what we're doing is saying, hey, we planning now to put the pandemic behind us, and we plan to rev up the association. One of the things that about the association is, we're like in anything else where it is not mandatory. It is
democratic.
Yes. The folks would have their own feelings and things about it. We got to be open about it.
Like everything else.
Like everything else. And one of the things that comes to mind is the credit union. Well, my understanding, I wasn't there then, but these folks over there can tell you more about that. But folks said to me, when Mr. Franks and Mr. Hodge talk about the credit union, some fellas decided, boy, Mr. Franks said, listen, this thing is good, we're going to take out a little portion of your money.
Only $5.
$5 per month.
Fellas said, boy, we're going to coach. He ain't going to dip his hand in my money because he ain't going to how to do that.
Some people go and withdraw it at the end.
I do not.
I know that is the bread basket of the police force.
No, to be fair, and this I'm telling you, fellows who had that view told me so. He said, boy, I went on bad. But today, I mean, look what it has done. I mean, fellows have been able to build their homes, send their children to university, for medical issues, and for a number of other things. So we know that this is not going to be easy.
Correct.
It's going to be a lot of, but we are committed to it because we're looking down the road. Now, this is not going to benefit us. I don't see it. But those folks who are in the force now, they are going to be the beneficiary. For instance, you have a person like the former commissioner, Quilly, who is part of the association. And he took interest when we were going through it, helped us along, backed us up. The present commissioner too. Everybody see the need for this thing, but it's going to take time to get people to say, well, listen, this is really worthwhile. Let me just put a joke on this one. I spoke to someone about being a member of the association, and I really had to laugh. They said, well, you know, I used to be a police long time and I had my health here. If I join the association, I get it back. So, but in truth and in fact, we are looking forward to the association being able to do great things in terms of, well, we have even introduced to the police something like what the fellow Hugh Charles came up with, an electrical course training.
We have 2 trainings on hold with the police that we're offering, because within us we have a lot of skills available. So we have 2 training. One is a leadership and one is electrical. So we are waiting on those, and you know, when things are settled down, we'll be able to get that. But one of the things I need to add, as he mentioned, former Commissioner Quilly, even though he's not on island, he's attending our meetings because we do Zoom.
Oh well. What I can tell you is that the ambassador is half a world away, but he tunes in every Thursday to listen to Policing with You. And sometimes I'm here talking and he's messaging me. So, I know very well that he's still very much a part of it.
Not only he alone, but there are the members as well, like Hugh Charles, Chapman, and those persons. They zoom in every month, and we have our monthly meetings, and they take part in the discussions and contribute to the whole welfare of the association.
To add, we have an officer in Miami, I mentioned his name, Glenn Diet.
Yes.
He have contributed twice to our shut-in. So we have a face mask, and we have the vest, so when we go on walks, the time of day, at least we are protected. So we need to say a public thanks to those outside, and anybody else, welcome.
So having said all of that, I can hear the zeal and the passion. So having said all of that, I have to ask. So having served so illustriously your respective organizations for a quantum of well over 90 years in here, let me ask an individual question. What motivated each of you individually to want to be a part of this organization?
The retired one?
Yes, the Retired Police and Fire Association. Having already served, you could have just decided, I've given my service, this is now my time. But yet you still chose to be a part of this organization and be active.
Well, I can say serving in the police force was a personal satisfaction for me. So this is just an extension. And so I have a zeal, I have a passion to see it thrive and see it succeed. And so, you know, when, as the chaplain have said, when you go out and you visit some of these guys and you see that sometimes when you go, they don't even want you to leave because for months they haven't seen anybody, nobody haven't come and spoken to them, nobody. When I could remember one time I went to a particular individual and I handed him a gift and he said, boy, this is the first time since I have left the organization that I feel remembered.
Wow.
So that is the zeal, that is the passion.
Personally, it's my foundation. And it's a foundation for everything that we do in life today. Looking back at what we went to, our training and everything. And that's my school year when I left school. That's where I went. Well, as I said, 1977. And you have a background. And when you see today, when you look at the policing, you say, no, and we think we can contribute to this. When we look at the police who have served and realize, as Richardson said, they're just there, laying aside. Just moving around. Some people don't even know that they were a police officer until, you know, that we say, we didn't know that he was, you know. And so, yes, it's something that really want us to do that kind of contribution back into the society. One of the things that we are heading for is to having our own home, our own building.
Space, office space.
So our own office space. And then we'll be able to do much, much more because government can't do everything. We'll be able to do much, much more for our persons.
Well, I think I will just add just a little what they have said. But for me, it goes a long way back. First of all, when I was a little boy, my father died when I was only 5 years old. And there was a police by the name of Hubert Phipps who became deputy commissioner.
Yes.
And when I started to go in school, my mother didn't have any work, no job anywhere. My father left 5 of us. And I just, when I started going to school over chaos as a little boy, he was at the Kayan police station as a constable. And every day when I went to school, he would call me for lunch. That then they used to have the lunch in canteen.
Yes, yes.
The big one underneath, the middle one, and the little small one up top. And every day he would call me for my lunch. I had my little pride too sometimes. I didn't want to go because the man calling me. But he did that out of
His
love.
Love.
And in those days, police were walking through the community, so he knew what my situation was and what my family. And so, while little boys and girls were afraid of police in those days, I wasn't afraid of police because I saw the police as a good person. So when my time came and I was asked to become the chaplain, it surprised me. That was not on my list. I was almost at the point to say no. I was ready to go and write. Strange enough, because I had some other things then. I had a young growing church. I was the chairman of the Evangelical Association. Plus mostly two other things. So I said, why no? I got enough for police. But there was something else turned back on that too. I had a son who was a police. And he will go to school, he will not be early. I mean, he can reach school early, but I mean, he leaving home on the dot so that he could reach. When it's time to go to church, we ready to go in the vehicle, and he pulling on the shirt and thing and the shoes in the hand. But he decided he wanted to be a police. I wasn't happy with it. I could tell you the truth. I was just nurturing a business, and I was looking for him to be. But he was accustomed to marching in the house and me take on that. So he left right out of school. He didn't even tell me. So he left out of school, went to sit the exam, pass, and when he ready now, he just walked out and he said, Daddy, we're going to be a police now. I don't sit the exam, so I go. I was really furious. But the thing is, when he went to training, one day he came up by my office and he watched, he say, you know, I got to reach back down quickly. I got to reach back training school. I said, wait. Why this police thing really changed this guy? And I stood outside on the sidewalk and watched him run from where my office is and watch him cross cross 4th Street, running, going. And he said, I can't late because Mr. Jeffords, you think I could? Daddy, I can't be down there late. 5 minutes. I say, well, what church and school couldn't do?
The police force has done.
Police force has changed that completely. And so by the time, that was part of it. And so by the time I got inside of the organization now, and I saw, you could talk about policing and policemen, but the fact is that if living with them is a different story. So I happened to see what was going on. And it became a passion of mine inside of the force to look after. I went in there to assist and to look after the people, and that got me. And it is something that I can't leave. It's, to me, it is like a part of church. You look after the people, not only want them when they're sick, when well, but when they're sick as well.
All right, well, it is clear that for each of you is just a continuation, or like the ACP said, an extension of your service to be a part of this organization. So let me ask another question now. Mrs. Fogg kind of preempted me. How do you think now the association can benefit your respective organizations by tapping into the experience and the wealth of experience and talent that your association has?
Well, you asked me for...
no, she preempted, the question, but...
Well, as so I still associate with the police a lot. I still offer my experience in terms of lectures and a host of other things that I wouldn't get into. You know.
Well, if you won't, I won't.
Yeah. So basically, it's, as I say, it's an extension, and I still offer my service where I can, and it's a joy doing that. Unfortunately, though, sometimes when you leave the organization, the person within the organization feel that you have left, and you shouldn't be part of it. There are some people like that, and we have to change that mindset.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So that is one of the things that we are working on, because as you afford, there are quite a lot of talents among the retired officers, and they can make significant contribution to what is happening. Sometimes when you're on the outside, you see more than when you're on the inside. And, you know, when I was there and people come and say certain things, you say, oh, no, that can't happen. But now you're on the outside, you see certain things, and, you know, you can help in making changes.
And anyone else would like to weigh in?
The thing is, I do basically the same things that I used to do within the police force. People still come to me for counseling and advice. The thing is, when you're inside there, police take some time to trust you. And as a result of your performance, you get in touch with not only the police, but its families. You're able to do a number of things. And so I do the same. People calling me, just the same thing, the same way. They want me to, they come to ask me their advice and counsel them in matters. So it is, for me, like Richie says, it's an extension of the service.
Yeah, I have the same, like both. And most of my time is spent at the fire services. So my attachment is still with the fire services, which I assist in training, lectures, you know, different things that I can do. Whatever they ask me for, I'm willing to do it, I do that. So it's still there, it's still an extension, it's still a part of me. And it's something in me that I can't say no. So it's there.
So basically you're saying that the benefit to the organization is even greater now that you're not a part of the organization. So you have more time now to give of your time to the organization. Well, I know the ACP gives of his time all the time. If you don't know him, you wouldn't know that he's not a police. He's always on the compound, particularly training school. So my next question, I know you spoke of training, but what are some of the initiatives that the organization has, and what are some of the plans that the organization has for the future, particularly towards officers who would have retired and contributions towards the parent organization?
Okay. One of the things in our constitution is that we want to give like a scholarship to persons needed within who can't afford it. So you'll have retirees, and even though they're retired, they still have things to be doing within the home, the family. So we're looking at that. That's one of the things that we're looking at in the future, to see if we can assist them in their benefits. The training that we have, it can also be extended to the immediate families.
So you were saying a course in leadership and electrical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the other things we're looking at, which is a little off from that, is we're looking at establishing or setting up a monument for officers who have fallen during in duty.
I think that is important.
Right. Serving member, not for falling in duty, but serving members or serving members. We already gotten the okay. We are just looking at a design for it, and so all that is in the pipeline, and we think that that would be one of the things that we're really looking forward to, because a lot of persons have been asking about that.
In addition to that too, let's say in Nevis, for instance, I had an experience there about 2 years ago where I went across to see those over there to take my gifts from the association. And so the cooperation and the support is there. And so this police officer was taking me around. I called the name. I say, listen, there's a retired inspector up here by the name of Dyer. I had no idea. The fellow said, Dyer? Okay. So I said, let's go around and so on. The fellow went around and found where Dyer lived. And the guy was surprised and shocked. He almost cried. He said, I am in the force for nearly 4 or 5 years. I never know a senior man up here. He's retired, and Dyer is about the oldest
Serving.
retired now.
Yes,
In David.
Alive.
The guy said, the guy nearly cried. He said, I walk across here, but even in the station I didn't hear his name called. So what the association have in mind, we have approached even the commission on it, is to have the photographs of people who are in charge and say, well, listen, here so and so, John Thomas was in charge also up to the present. So you come in there now as a junior officer, you can't say you don't know, because you will have seen the names and the person. So that is something that we are going to be working on as well, because we feel, I know when we were serving Richie, that idea came up about Boston, about St. Kitts.
Yeah.
But that is a lot of work to do, and I don't think at the time that it was well taken.
It wasn't well received.
It wasn't well received
at the time.
But at that time, but we hope that by now that somebody might take it. That too is important. But the Nevis one, we would like to start with Nevis first, because that experience of that fellow, he did not even know. So when I left Diana, I said, let's go by Stapleton. Yes, Superintendent Stapleton. Fellow said, I said, well, you didn't know that this fellow was in charge of the division. The divisional officer. He said, no, I never hear the man name called yet. So this promptness said, no, boy. I said, no, when I get back down, we got to fix this. So this is something on our plate as well.
When I left the fire services in 2006, it was a personal thing that I did. If you travel into the fire department now, into the evacuation room, you see the pictures around. I think your picture is supposed to be there as Chamberlain.
Mine is the only one isn't there.
But I make sure I left everything. And when persons look and say, but I didn't see this man around town. I didn't know. Yeah, the new ones are coming. So I make sure I leave that as a legacy for persons who are coming to see who the person that passed on before and what their contribution was.
I mean, when you think about people like former Assistant Superintendent Ivan Hanley,
Oh yes.
you don't see a photograph of his
Very seldom.
in recreation
In the
room or
recreation
some
room,
place.
correct.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that speaks volume. You know, a man of his stature who went through the organization and was well recognized, as particularly as an investigator. And you can't even have a picture of the former commissioners. I mean, come on. I think we need to really address the situation. When you go to other forces and you walk into the recreation room or thing, you see...
It's almost like a story. The pictures tell a story.
A story. You know,
Correct.
from 18 something to the present.
Call it the Hall of
Correct.
Fame.
Yeah.
And I think it is important, you know, whenever you become a part of anything, to know who your predecessors were.
Exactly.
And as you say, what contributions they would have made. It was only when I joined the force I found out that Mr. Ian Hodge was a police officer.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
that's because I saw his
Training
picture
school.
at training school as a
yeah.
commandant.
Yeah.
You know, so I agree. It is important to know who your predecessors are,
Yeah.
and how they would have paved the way for you to be here.
As you mentioned, Mr. Hodge and training school, that's one of the things that also that we were looking at.
Yeah.
Remember this year or last year?
Last year was the 60th
anniversary of the training
police.
school.
No, yeah.
And we suggested that we have name even for a whole area. We have the beginning, which was Mr. There was former deputy commissioner who passed,
Hughes.
Mr. Hughes,
Yeah.
and
Hughes
Mr.
and
Ian
Mr.
Hodge,
Howell.
and Mr. Howell. Those are persons that people don't even know.
Yeah, Howell has
Okay.
passed as well.
So that's something we also have on a table somewhere.
Yeah, one the other thing I would like to address though is our membership. Our membership. We have a number of registered members, about 65 in total.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 65 in total. But in terms of our subscription, you know, it's far below that. You make a $20 lifetime registration and $150 subscription per year. And so we really want to urge our members to contribute to the association, because some of the things that we have in mind to do, we can't do it because of the funds.
Can't function without money.
Yeah. And so we're appealing to our members to just step up and, you know, that we can do these things that we have in mind.
Agreed. So I have another question. I know we're almost out of time, but
Really?
I have another question though. So again, having served for such a long time in your respective organizations, what would you say to individuals now who want to be or are thinking about being a part of these organizations? What would you say to them?
Come on board.
The former organization and this present organization.
No, not the retired one.
Oh, the police
Not
force.
the police force and the fire services.
Yeah.
I will say be focused and have a goal. When I went to training school, it was tough. It ain't tough now. It was tough.
So maybe
And-
to differ, but
Yeah, it ain't as tough now as
It ain't as tough. It ain't as tough.
Honestly.
I was an instructor there,
I know
so.
It ain't as tough now. And my thing was, if other females passed through this, I could do it. And I set a goal. And what my goal was, nobody, regardless of friend or whoever, will make me feel inferior when I'm in my uniform.
Yeah.
So you need to set a goal and really stick to that.
ACP?
Well, boy, there's so much I could say about this that I don't even want to start. But as Ms. Swab said, if you join the organization without any goals, any plans, you're going to drop along the wayside. When I joined the organization, to be honest, I joined the organization to make some money. I wanted to go to CVI, College of the Virgin Islands, to do engineering. But after I had 2 years in the police force, I was so taken up with the policing And particularly because I went to the criminal investigation department as an investigator, very young. And as you may know, I spent most of my years, over 20-something years between CID and CRO. And so when I got there and I see what I could have done to help the unfortunate persons, that in itself was a personal gratification for me. And so when I joined the organization and I decided to make it a career, I started to plan. This is what I want to accomplish in 5 years, this is what I want to accomplish in 10 years, this is what I want to accomplish. And I could tell you, I set those goals, and I said every 5 years while I was in the organization, I would try and get a promotion. And I ain't had no friends, I just do my work, and every 5 years, and an average 6 years sometimes, I got a promotion until I reached the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police. You know, the rest is history.
So your message is invariably the same. Stay focused.
Stay focused.
Have a plan.
Have a plan.
And any contribution, Chaplain?
In addition to that, you must know what you want to become and how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And be careful also of the persons that you become connected to. Because in a number of instances, folks seems to lose their focus because of who they are connected to.
Right.
In the police force, even in training school, when I used to go down there lecture, I used to say to them, you make sure that you know where you want to go, and avoid those who seemingly going nowhere. Because there's some folks who don't, their intention is not.
Any organization.
So you must never forget where you want to go. Same thing like what Mr. Richardson said. And also, I try to say to them, even when I get occasion, try to avoid keeping people inside of you because of misunderstanding.
Right.
That's a problem within the police force. Some little thing happen, and you'll be surprised that over 20 years, 30 years,
people are still bitter.
And people are still bitter. And you want to know. So I have the experience of saying, how do you live with that all that long? But, you know, so I try to say to the young people, listen, try to avoid that. If you have something that bothering you, go to the person and say to them in a nice way, I'll get somebody to go with it. But don't harbor things in your chest and have people at arm's length because there is a misunderstanding. And whatever you have to do it well. You're a good example of that.
Yeah, role models. That's why I was just going to add that. I was saying,
you're a good example.
You must choose the role models and see who you want to associate with. I mean, in any organization, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly.
You must choose the good if you want to excel in whatever you're doing. If you're going to choose the bad, quite naturally, you're going to drop on the wayside.
So I'm a guy like you. Yeah. I expect everything from you. I feel like the only thing is going to stop you is you.
Yeah.
Because you have proven that from the days of training school. I never, well, you know what I've said. So I expect I might be dead and gone. Possibilities are. But I expect you to be a major player.
They can find their role models very early in their career.
Of course.
For example, Mr. Morgan, I don't know if you know him, but he's in Davis, Cecil Morgan. He was a sergeant at the time when I joined. And as I said, I was attached to the fire department, not the police at the time, but it was police and fire. And one day I passed through the guard room and he called me. He said, here's a come, sit down here. So I'm wondering, I started to shake because he had a voice that really shake you. I said, what have I done? So I sat down, but I couldn't question him. And he said, look in there, you see a minor offense book, take it out. I did. He said, here's the diary, I'm going to show you one, you do the rest. And that's how I learned. So you find your role models very, very early.
Agreed. Any last words from any of you about the organization or even about anything before we have to go?
Well, all I would have to say to all those who are old retired persons, we need you in the organization. And we ask that you come forward and become a member of the association, because if you do that, we'll be able to do some of the things, or more of the things, that we are planning. Your presence is important, your membership is important. And for those of you who have joined and have, as the treasurer said, things are not going all that well, we want you to pick up, because we want to do more than we have been doing. So please come on board, and you could get in touch with any of us at any time, because that's what we're there for.
I will just appeal to all the females out there who have retired. Come on board.
Need more.
Yeah.
I just would endorse what they have said. In addition, I just want to encourage and invite all the retirees who are accustomed to be on our monthly health walk, which would be Saturday. Start at 6 o'clock from the training school. We want to see persons in their number. Your health is important.
Correct.
And, just walking for an hour, you don't know, that may add years to your life.
Indeed.
And so we want to encourage persons, even if you don't come to do it on your own, get involved in some physical activity, not because you're retired, you think that you just go out and sit on a chair in your veranda and that's it, you're going to seize up.
Indeed.
So we encourage persons to come along on Saturday, start at the 6 o'clock at the police training school. Most likely we would walk to Frigate Bay and back, and have a nice time.
All right. Well, I wanna say thank you to the UACP, Mrs. Fo, and the chaplain. On behalf of the organization, I would like to express our overwhelming gratitude and appreciation for the job that you voluntarily taken up the mantle to do. For those of us who are serving and for those who have served, we know that law enforcement is a brotherhood. Yes. However, once you leave the organization, it is difficult to feel a part of that brotherhood still. And what you are doing is most commendable, and I would definitely like you to continue. And in that regard, we express our appreciation. Having served your country, you still have chosen to serve, and we must say thank you. I want to say thank you to the moderator, Ronnie Rascal, for having us again on Thursday, and thank you to our listeners and our viewers. This has been another edition of Policing with You, and I have been your host, Sergeant Richards. Do tune in again next week for another edition.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And we welcome you when you return.